Hi everyone, welcome back to Hoping Mind session on social media management. So last time we spoke about Java motorcycles, but today I thought that let's begin by speaking a little bit about what the power of social media truly is. And I was thinking when I was trying to structure this discussion for you that how do I really bring this out for you to be able to understand what are the different ways in which social media can truly make an impact and how can we as marketers really leverage the potential of the tool. So I think for me, when I was trying to think of a broad classification, the first one for me was how social media can be used to drive brand salience. So here, essentially, what do we mean by salience? Salience is when we're talking about how well known your brand is, what kind of awareness it holds in the market, what's the kind of recall that the brand kind of drives, and also at the same time that what's like the kind of thought or the associations that come to mind when people think about your brand or hear the name of your brand. So I think that's point one, that social media is a big tool for us to drive this whole space of brand salience. Number two, I think very important, how can social media actually be used to drive real-time business metrics? Like I said in my last session that likes and engagements and all of that is fine, but how do we really bring in the money into the bank? So how can we leverage social media to drive business metrics? The metrics could vary from business to business. Let's say you run a small Instagram shop and you're actually selling some home decor items. So for you, social media could be a big tool for doing lead generation. Let's say that you are a large scale automobiles part supplier, and what could you do through your social media presence? You could actually use that as a relevant tool to get real-time customer feedback about your products by sharing and interacting with your customers. Sometimes the metrics could simply be around what is the kind of click-through rates you're driving to your website, what are the kind of cost efficiencies that you're bringing in your overall performance marketing side of things. So I think number two is simply driving business value using social media. And finally, and this is personally that I love as a marketer, I feel that brands today really need to try and go that extra mile to connect with our audiences. I mean, imagine today if you think about brands in any category, there are so many of them out there. In fact, they're available dime a dozen. So how do we really create a distinct positioning for our brand? And like I mentioned earlier, today the consumer is a lot more aware. We're talking about people who have a global outlook, who are well traveled. Today, the world is such a small place that we actually know of trends happening in different parts of the world and not only are contained within our own region. If you ask me, I genuinely feel that advertising is becoming tougher and tougher because the consumer is just so much more aware. So how do you really create and strike that chord with your consumer? I think this is where again social media can be a big tool for us to actually drive that value. And what I'm talking about here is social media making you be a part of the conversation. When I say a part of the conversation, I mean that you could actually be using social media to talk about driving positive social change. You could simply just be a part of a culture conversation, or you could genuinely be actually driving pop culture trends. This is something which truly in my head is one of the most exciting use cases for social media, because today brands are proving to be relevant by how much active they are and what kind of an opinion they have, because at the end of the day, let's face it, brands truly in a way are people. At the end of it, it's about how you perceive the brand, is what you think of them, what are the associations you have when you actually try to picture that particular brand. And I think to make it more human, to actually have that connect with our audiences, it's very important for us today to be able to have the right kind of associations, whatever fit our category. For example, ITC does a lot of initiatives, and ITC is a leading Indian FMCG, right? Like they do a lot of initiatives to drive positive social impact in the lives of farmers and throughout the supply chain and the value chain that they operate in. Mahindra as a brand, and since I have worked extensively with the Mahindra group, Mahindra actually tries to connect with various social causes. Like they actually have this cause called Nanhi Kali, for which they do a lot of social campaigns, etc., to drive positive messaging about female children and how you need to really create an ecosystem to be able for them to grow. And especially we're talking about underprivileged ones where we as a brand have taken an active role in creating that positive impact in their lives. So I think there are different use cases for this, and not all of them really have to be that serious. They could actually be really fun ones, like how a Coca-Cola will actually integrate themselves when the World Cup is on, or how Pepsi can actually talk about bridging borders between India and Pakistan. I mean, there are very interesting campaigns that you can actually find online when you start going into this topic more. So, in a nutshell, if I had to say, what is the real power of social media and what are the various levers that we can drive? One is driving brand salience. Second is actually having and driving positive business impact and driving real-time metrics. And third is being a part of culture conversations. And with that, now we'll dive into some case studies that highlight a brand that has done well in all of these. And don't worry, I'm not going to be talking about my brands only. I'm going to be talking about global brands here that have truly inspired me and make me want to do more as a marketer. And I'm sure that inspiration will pass on to you as well.